So dear diary. Oh, sorry, I didn't know he was there. So many of us have hesitations around journaling, and before I started journaling, I had the same hesitations as well. It just didn't feel right to write down on a piece of paper what I was feeling at the time. But if I'm honest with you, I tried journaling, and the impact that it had on my life was huge. So there's a lot of benefits to journaling, from reducing stress to improving your immune function. In this video, I want to talk about the benefits, but more importantly, how you can get started. So listen, there's so many different types of journals out there, and equally there's so many different ways that we can journal. But before I talk about how to get started and give you some practical tips, let's look at the benefits of journaling. So the first benefit is journaling helps reduce stress, anxiety, depression. Journaling helps you manage your mental health. Being able to write down stressful situations can help you manage them in a healthy way. Now, when I first started journaling, which was probably about 5 years ago now, this had the biggest impact on me when it comes to my mental health. Simply put, going to therapy was again huge for me, and I've spoken a lot about it. When I lost my dad to suicide back in 2009 when I was 18, when I was struggling with depression, when I was struggling with anxiety, when I didn't know how to deal with that grief, really I suppressed a lot of that emotion up and I just buried it. I bottled it away. I didn't want to deal with it. But of course, going to see a therapist after some time massively helped, being able to vocalize those challenges that I was facing. But when it comes to journaling, it was something that I could do every day that had a massive impact on how I was dealing with it. Now, for me, there was a lot of reasons why I believe it helped, but the main one was when this is going on, right? Some of you might be able to relate to this. When this is racing, when you cannot shut this off. You know, on average, we have 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day, right? When this is going and going and going and rattling and rattling and rattling, it can become unbearable to manage. And when those issues are here, it's almost heightened. Now, when I was journaling, when I was writing it down, it almost become an opportunity for me to rationalize those problems, those challenges, but equally see them from a different perspective. And the way that I see it is, if you're very good at giving someone advice when it comes to how they can deal with challenges in their life, but you're not very good at taking your own advice, journaling for me was I was looking at these problems, I was looking at these negative emotions, and I was seeing them in a different way. I was seeing them as if they were someone else's, and I can start to rationalize them, come up with solutions, and it really massively helped. And the second benefit which follows on from that is journaling can really help you with your recovery. So as we write down our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, it allows us to almost tap into our authentic self and almost have that self-awareness to reflect on the experiences that we've been through. And this is why a lot of counselors, a lot of people that go through therapy who might be struggling with a mental illness as well, will be told to start a journal. Start a journal, write down every day how you're feeling, because in a way it allows us to track the recovery as well. It allows us to tap into our authentic self, to gain that self-awareness, to look at it from a different perspective, but equally as well look back and see how far we've come. But the third benefit is journaling can help improve immune function, and journaling also helps keep your memory sharp. So believe it or not, and I'm going to read this here, research has shown that expressive writing can strengthen your immunity and decrease risk of illness. Those who journaled in this study improved immune system functioning. Other studies have also shown that journaling can help combat certain diseases, and it's even been reported to help the wounded heal faster. So journaling has a massive impact on our mental health, but equally, journaling can have an impact on our physical health too. And then the fourth and final benefit that I'm going to share, because we can go on forever talking about the benefits of journaling, is journaling helps you stay optimistic. A big part of journaling, which we're going to discuss in a minute, is gratitude. And when we write down what we're grateful for, it can put us in a more optimistic mindset. It can put us in a more positive mindset. So if you're someone that feels like you're always the victim, if you're someone that feels like you are in a pessimistic mindset, that you don't see any way out of the experience that you're experiencing right now, journaling can help with that. It takes a long time, but for me, writing down what I'm grateful for and tapping into that has been massively helpful too. So there's plenty more benefits, but how do you start? How do you start journaling to really tap into those benefits? So the first tip is to just start. Don't overthink it. We have to almost prepare ourselves to journal the first time, because I know it took me a long time, because it just feels a bit weird, right? To sit down and grab yourself a piece of paper and grab yourself a pen and get yourself in the right headspace to start writing down your feelings. It makes us feel quite uncomfortable, and when we feel uncomfortable, we put it off, we don't do it, and we talk ourselves out of it because it can be quite daunting to start journaling. So my advice to you would be, just start. It doesn't have to be perfect when you first journal. You don't have to do it a certain structured way when you first journal. It's about you spending a little bit of time, even a minute, even if you just write a couple of sentences. Get yourself in the habit of journaling. Just start, don't overthink it, and it will help you massively. Sometimes people just advise you to write down what you want to eat. So what are you craving? What food are you looking forward to eating next? Sometimes they say write down what you did in the last hour. Or it could be as simple as reflecting back on a childhood memory, a holiday or a vacation that you went on before, and just start writing down those emotions that you feel when you reminisce and when you start thinking about that past experience. Your mind will overcomplicate it, but here's a simple way of doing it. Notepad, pen, find yourself an empty page and just write. In this last hour, I have felt energized, but I've been putting off creating this video that you're watching for the past 3 days. You don't even have to have good handwriting. Tip number 2 is to use guided journals. There's a lot out there. I've got a couple here, but there's one called the 5-minute journal that is pretty popular. You've got this one here, which I'll show you, which is the self journal. You've got the BU journal as well, and this one is their kids version of it. There are so many journals now out on the market, and sometimes what these guided journals can do is really, again, help you start when you first begin. Now for me, when I first started journaling, I did try the approach of plain piece of paper and a pen, but with some time it became a little bit more difficult. So I first invested in the 5-minute journal, and that really helped me get into the habit of doing it on a daily basis. And then I went and bought myself the self journal. Now the reason why sometimes getting yourself a guided journal at the beginning can help, because it gives you a little bit more structure. So it tells you in a way what you need to be writing down. Now this one for me really helped me throughout my work day, so it plans out every hour, and I can obviously come in the morning or the night before and write down what I'm going to be doing in that day. So it gave me a bit of structure, it made me more productive. But on this side of the page, this is really what helped me. So it was writing down my goals, reminding myself of the goals in the beginning of the week, but also throughout the week as well, every single day. It was also just a reminder of a quick little quote. This one says, always deliver more than expected. And then I had 3 targets of the day. So my 3 priorities that I had to obviously focus on. And then at the end of the day, I would write down my wins. So what did I do that was successful in the day? The lessons that I'd learned. So what did I learn? And I've put in here, I need to meditate and spend more time with family. So obviously I was working a lot during this day, and that was the lesson that I learned then. And then tonight I'm grateful for, I put Anne, who was my therapist, still is, the lady who helped me massively. I've put my family, and I've put my financial stability. Now, when we're writing down what we're grateful for, sometimes it's very important to be specific with what we're grateful for. Make it very personal to us, because again, that really helps. So there's a lot of different guided journals out there. There's lots on the market. I would suggest maybe trying them to help you get started, help you get in the habit. And then when you're in the habit, you might want to start just grabbing yourself a notepad and journaling as best as you can. Now, tip number 3 is to decide a time to write. You really need to embed this into your daily routine. So what are you doing in the morning? Can you build on what your current morning routine is like and implement some journaling? So let's say you wake up in the morning, you grab yourself a coffee and you check the news. Now, during that morning routine of waking up in the morning, getting a coffee, checking the news, could you then say, after I check the news for 5 minutes, I'm going to do some journaling? If you do some exercise, maybe you could do it when you finish your exercise routine in the morning. For some people, doing journaling in the lunch break or before they go to bed is the better time to write. I would experiment, find out what works for you, but you need to really integrate it into your day-to-day routine, because if you don't do this on a daily, a weekly basis, you're not going to feel the benefit. So whatever you can do to just start to integrate it into a routine that works for you is going to, again, be helpful. Tip number 4 is, if you're struggling with what to write down what your challenges are right now. So whatever's going on in your mind that you're struggling to deal with, it could be a problem that you're struggling to solve. It could be an experience that you're having that you don't really know the solution to. It could be an argument that you've just had with someone. It could be pressures within your job. Whatever it is, just start writing down those challenges. Just write down those challenges. You can put them as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can bullet them, whatever you want to do. Just writing down what you're challenged by right now can really help. It gets you going, and it gets you in that process of writing down your feelings, writing down your emotions. And for me, what I like to do is start by writing down the challenge, but then start writing more around it. So how am I feeling about that challenge? What am I experiencing? Have I experienced something like this before? And what did I do to deal with it? Just start by writing down those challenges, and then you might want to elaborate on them. But for me, this is the key part of journaling. Yes, writing down what I'm grateful for, writing down my wins of the day keeps me optimistic. But for me, it's about expressing what I'm feeling on that day and getting, as I keep saying, it out of here and onto a piece of paper so I can rationalize it. So write down what you're challenged by. That's another good place to start. Equally, if you don't know what you're challenged by and you don't want to start that way, tip number 5 is to write down your successes. What has been a win for you in the last week? What has been a win for you today? And it can be the smallest of wins. Like, it could be the fact that you went for a walk, or it could be the fact that you managed to clear your inbox. Whatever it is, just write down those small wins. I talk about it a lot, that small wins amount to big victories. Sometimes we don't have to force ourselves to do these huge tasks, these huge achievements. Sometimes taking that first step is the hardest, but taking that first step is, of course, the catalyst to success, the catalyst to us improving ourselves. So writing down your wins every day, writing down your successes can help you feel more optimistic, but equally it can put you on the path to becoming a better version of yourself. Tip 6, as I've said already, is to focus on gratitude. So I would always say, maybe in the morning, maybe in the evening, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. And like I always say, try and make them specific to you. When we are focused on what we don't have, when we're scrolling through social media and we're looking at others and we're saying, I wish I had that, I wish I had this, it puts us in that negative mindset, that lack mindset. We don't feel very worthy. We don't feel very good about ourselves. But when we focus on what we have, it makes us feel more optimistic. It makes us feel more positive. And it took me a long while to get there. But when I was really struggling with my depression and anxiety, a lot of that stemmed from the fact that I was living in my mind, and my mind was telling me that I could not do this without my dad. I can never get over this experience of losing my dad. And it was consistently reminding myself of what I hadn't got. But what Anne really helped me, and it took a lot of time, is to focus on gratitude. I am so grateful that I had an amazing dad in my life for 18 years. Yes, I miss him every day. Yes, the experience is something that I would never want to go through again. But equally, I'm grateful that my dad was in my life for 18 years. And when I look at it that way, it makes me more optimistic, and I want to share it, and I want to try and help others as well. And I try and do that on a day-to-day basis. If you can focus on gratitude, it can be the smallest of things, that you can walk, that you can get fresh running water from the tap, that you've got clothes, that you've got a roof over your head. It puts stuff into perspective, and it makes us feel more optimistic. And then the final tip number 7, don't worry about rambling or making no sense when you journal. Sometimes I'm journaling, I'm writing. I look back on it and I'm like, was you drunk when you was writing that? Now, it's only probably 7 in the morning, so I wasn't drunk, but sometimes I look back on my journals and I was just rambling. Now, there's no problem with rambling. There's no problem with not making sense with what you're writing down. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your handwriting could be terrible. Again, it's about tapping into the benefits of getting what's going on in here down onto a piece of paper to express yourself, expressive writing, and really tapping into the benefits that we've shared. So it does not have to be perfect. Do not worry about rambling. So there we have it. As I said, I tried journaling and it had a huge impact on my life. There's lots of benefits and I don't do it as much as I used to, but when I look back, the impact that it had on me was huge, and I still integrate it into my, as I say, morning routine. Even if I'm only doing it on a weekly basis, I know it's there if I need it, and it's a massive help to me as well. The reason why I don't do it as much is because I feel like I've been able to manage this crazy mind a little bit more than I've done so in the past, and I think journaling has been a big part of that. Being able to do it consistently for a long period of time has made me feel more mindful, a much quieter mind, being able to deal with things a lot more better than I've done in the past. So highly recommend it. Hopefully this video has helped you get started. If you do need any more tips, then comment below and I'm happy to try and reply. If you've got any tips yourself for how you started journaling and the benefits, again, drop them in the comments below. Really appreciate you watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. If you're watching this anywhere else, then hit follow, like, whatever you can do on that platform. Really appreciate you watching this video, and good luck with journaling.